you're currently playing the Phantom on tour, which is insane. And that's been one of your dreams for many, many years.
Yeah.
And people probably look at you and think, he's got it lucky, he's the Phantom. But they don't know this whole journey that you've been on since you were 13, really, 14.
Yeah. And then, 15 years on from that journey starting, I got the role. I think I'm the only person associated with Phantom ever who has been second understudy Raoul, first understudy Raoul, and then the Phantom. Having children changed absolutely everything for me. My career really demonstrates well how important it is to have things in your life that are more important than your job. I had no pain, I had no signs that anything was about to happen, and my Achilles tendon snapped. Complete rupture. The loudest bang that reverberates around the entire room. There's physical health and there's mental health. When one needs fixing, sometimes so does the other.
I know that you've suffered with mental health stuff over the years. In the past, you've turned to running a lot of the time to kind of, I'm going to go as far as save you.
I was taught to believe and conditioned by my world that I must never admit that, because it will make people not want to hire me. It will make people think I'm weak.
Those things that you just said there, so like people pleasing, putting other people first, all of that, were those conscious things that you were aware you were doing at the time?
Not in the slightest.
Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new series of Real Talk with Nat. We are on series 3. I'm Nadim Naaman, your podcast host, and I have a very special guest with me today, who is my second family member, my brother Nadim.
Hello.
Hello.
Sis.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
We've just
I'm
been
really
having
well.
a bit of a catch-up pre-episode.
I am. I'm loving your new studio.
Yes.
Good upgrade.
So Carl, producer Carl, who we always like to give a shout out to, has upgraded his space, and we've got this amazing new podcast studio, which I think looks fabulous.
It's very classy.
It's very classy.
Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah.
So normally I would ask you to introduce yourself, but obviously I know you very well because,
I hope so.
because you're my brother. So I thought, why don't I ask you to just tell the viewers, the listeners, a little bit, some interesting facts about yourself that maybe people don't know about you. Just give a bit of an overview.
Okay. So I suppose the most important thing to tell people is that I am a musical theatre actor and singer. That's my job. But growing up, I'm sure we'll talk about this more. Growing up in a sort of traditional family life where no one had ever done anything like that before. Our dad has always been in finance and business, and our mum, when she worked, was in IT. Like, there were no kind of signs, I think, that theatre was going to be a thing.
Yeah.
But something
Mum likes to disagree.
Mum likes to disagree. Mum has always been the singing in the kitchen, singing in the shower, singing in the car type. And many memories of growing up with Barbara Streisand and Celine Dion playing in the house. But actually, Dad's got very good music taste too.
True.
Dad, is very into his Elvis and Sinatra, and those are definitely artists. And he likes a power ballad, Josh Groban too.
So random.
He definitely has listened to more of the music that I've probably sung as an adult. But bless him, he can't sing.
No.
He can certainly entertain though. We'll give him that.
True.
But something that maybe people don't know, and maybe we've never ever talked about, is that the reason I wanted to give it a go in the first place was watching you do stuff.
You have mentioned this to me once before.
Right.
And I think it was because of the Starlight Express tap dance that I did once.
I think so.
Something around that.
So something that your viewers and listeners might not know about you is that you went to stage school on the weekends.
Yeah.
Chadsworth.
Yeah.
And once a year, you would do a show. The whole school would do a show, and Mum and Dad would bring me and Kareem, our brother, to watch you. And there was one year where you did a show called At the Hop, which was basically
God, memories.
A rip-off of Grease, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
It was brilliant, though. It was just like a high school Greaser's show with all the jiving and the rock and roll and all the classic songs.
Yeah.
And I guess I was probably about 11 or 12
Yeah.
watching you in this. And I just remember being like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we had always watched musicals and been to the theatre as kids. And I remember mum and dad introducing us to films like Grease. And I had no outlet for that at school. I went to very traditional schools where there was no really kind of, no exposure to the arts as such. It was just academics and sports. But you had this outlet and you were doing this thing. And I remember watching it and then, you know, thinking, I want to do that. Didn't do anything about it for 2 or 3 years other than sing in my bedroom with the door locked as loudly as I possibly could.
You actually also, I'm just going to cut in there, I have memories of you when I was maybe 4 or 5, like really little, of you dancing to Michael Jackson in the attic at home. So you absolutely started this vibe prior to that.
I'm getting old now. I don't remember that far back. But yes, like it was watching you in those shows that made me first sort of go, I want to do this, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know where to do it. I have no outlook for it. But, you know, it was like a secret desire, I guess. And then the year after that, you did another one, but this time it was in a West End theatre.
Yeah.
Like you were part of one of those Sunday evening shows, and they hired the London Palladium for the day, and there were just hundreds of kids, all ages, singing and dancing and doing songs from musicals and pop songs, and that was the one where I was like, right, okay, I feel like I need to have an outlet now. And by chance, a month later, my school put up a poster for auditions for Jesus Christ Superstar, and I did that. It was my first show.
Yeah.
And
just you're what, 13?
I was 14 and I got the bug. And from that show, from that cast, I still have 5 or 6 what I would call my best friends.
Wow.
Some of whom are also in the theatre industry.
Yeah.
Some of whom are headmasters at schools. Some of whom just work completely other fields. But we all bonded over that experience and we all got the bug of singing and acting.
Was Will Barrett in that?
Will Barrett was in that. He was Jesus.
Yeah, I remember.
Will Barrett was Jesus.
I remember watching that.
He was a couple of years older than me. He was 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
He broke the naan bread.
Yeah.
And passed it, and I was the first apostle to his left.
Nice.
Drank the Vimto for the wine. Yeah, I mean, amazing memories, and like Ollie was in that as well, and Nick, and like
really?
you know, sorry, I mean, people don't know who these guys are, but my family know that they're still my very close friends. So yeah, special.
Nice. So it started a long time ago.
Long time ago.
And another thing which people may not know, although if they follow me or us on social media, they probably do know, but we are half Lebanese.
We certainly are.
So you touched on at the start of that conversation that wasn't necessarily going down that route, wasn't necessarily something culturally that from a Lebanese background specifically wasn't really a thing.
For sure.
And Dad probably was expecting you, because you are extremely intelligent as well. Let's just put it out there.
Thank you.
You are quite smart. He was probably expecting you to be like an accountant or a lawyer or a doctor or something like that. And you were like, no, sorry, I'm actually going to go sing and act in the West End.
Yeah.
So how was that transition? This is something we haven't actually ever spoken about. Having that conversation. Obviously, Dad is so calm and like chilled and lets us, as long as we're happy, it's cool. But what was that situation like when you had that conversation of, actually, I don't really want to do that. I want to do this.
That's a really good question. And I think the answer really is that it was about like a long period of time. It was a journey that happened over many years. You know, I spoke about that Jesus Christ Superstar production when I was 14, and it was 4 years after that, at 18, that I think Dad really got it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, he was always supportive and he was always there. Him and Mum were at everything. They always came to watch, and they were so complimentary and supportive. And there was never ever a conversation where it was like, but are you really going to do this?
Yeah.
Which I'm very grateful for, because I have so many friends and colleagues now who I've met who are from Middle Eastern families who have had pushback and have had to fight really hard to prove that what they want to do is worthwhile. But I think that the moment that swung it for me was in my last ever school play. My head of drama, who is an amazing man, his name's Simon Dormandy, and he was just such an influential teacher. And he pulled Dad aside at the end of the school play.
What play was that? What was the last one?
It was a Greek tragedy. It's called the Oresteia, and it was 3 hours long and very, very intense.
I came and watched that.
You did, and I played the Koryphaios, which is like the leader of the Greek chorus. He's like on stage for the whole thing, kind of like a narrator, but also doing singing and dancing and monologues, and just like it was like I basically spent my whole last term at school preparing for this play. Much to some of my teachers' disgruntlement,
I'm sure.
But he pulled my dad aside and he just said, like, look, I believe he has what it takes, so let him try. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but like just let him try and have faith that there's something there that could lead to a career. And I think when he heard that from not only a teacher but someone who has also worked in the industry as a director and an actor, I feel like it gave him that layer of confidence to just go with it. The conversations that got us there were much more about compromise. They were much more about things like, I love that you're happy. I love that you're finding some things that you're passionate about, but I really think it's important that you have other things to fall back on. And those were scientific things, mathematics, that's a lie, economics, and geography, like more human subjects and subjects that you could apply to other careers if you didn't make it as an actor. So I did, for A-level, I did English, literature, I did theatre studies, and then I did economics and geography. So I had like 2 of each, arts and science, or arts and humanities. And that was the plan. It was like, you're going to go to university first, you're going to get a degree, and if you still want to go to drama school, you have our support. And I couldn't really, looking back on it now, like I couldn't ask for more than that. Like that's a really sensible way of approaching it. And it's something that I would advise to any young performer now, that I think even just for the life experience, there are loads of performers who don't train, don't go to university, and they're phenomenally talented. But I do feel like it's a whole other world of pressure if you leave school and go straight into working. And you have no transition period out of school, from school to adulthood. And you,
it's life experience,
it's life experience, it's learning, and many things that you need, like about teamwork and about rejection. Even like at university or at school, auditioning for something and not getting it, that teaches you to just start developing your expectations and the thick skin that you're going to need later on. So from a life experience perspective, I went to uni at Warwick and I had an amazing 3 years, and I did musical theatre more than my degree. And again, my teachers weren't happy.
What was the degree you did?
Theatre and performance studies. But then you could add other modules from other subjects along the way. So I did lots of English literature modules to keep that going from school. Because I had in the back of my head, like, I know I want to work in the arts, I want to work in theatre, but I don't know yet whether I want to be on stage or be a director or a writer, or I was figuring all that stuff out. And at uni, I tried a bit of everything. I did as much off stage as I did on. But I just completely got the bug, and I like found my tribe of people, and I found that sense of working really hard, but feeling a huge sense of reward and achievement after it. And that's the thing that I've always found in theatre. It's the most collaborative art form. It's the most, and especially musical theatre, because you then add, you have it in a play, but then you also add an orchestra and singing and dancers, and you add all these other layers, and you have this like family of sometimes 90 or 100 people all pulling for the same goal. And if you take one of them out, it doesn't work. Like it's every department is equally important, and that's such a wonderful thing to learn. And I think it's why the arts are so important for kids and young people, because you learn camaraderie, teamwork, pulling together for a common cause. And despite however many people see what we do as glamorous and starry, it's really not. It's actually just graft, and it's hard work. It's like, I think it's a bit like being on a sports team. We have rehearsals, they have training, we have costumes, they have kit, we have a director, they have a coach, like but that sense of togetherness in achieving a goal, it's really, really beneficial.
I think that's a massive point, actually, in general, about the arts, not necessarily specifically acting or musical theatre or whatever, but it all looking glamorous. And it's not. And we've spoken about this before.
Yeah.
You know, obviously you're currently playing the Phantom on tour, which is insane. And that's been one of your dreams for many, many years.
Yeah.
And people probably look at you and think, oh, that's amazing. He's got it lucky. He's the Phantom. But they don't know this whole journey that you've been on since you were 13, really, 14.
100%.
And specifically, obviously, after you went to uni and all of that.
Yeah.
So should we talk about that?
Yeah.
So you went to uni, you got your degree. You then went to drama school.
Yes.
Musical theatre.
I did. So I did a postgraduate course at the Royal Academy of Music.
That was it, yeah.
Specialising in musical theatre.
Yeah.
And that course is phenomenal. It's not even a year really. It's more like 9 months. It's September to June. But that is intense. That's like, postgraduate study really worked for me because I was 21. I'd done 3 years already at university, and this course was like basically 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Dance classes, singing lessons, learning new repertoire, learning new songs, acting classes, agent showcase, end of year shows. It was a lot to pack into 9 months, but because of the intensity and the speed of it, it felt like you were already doing it.
Yeah.
You didn't feel like you were going back to school again and starting from scratch on this thing that was going to be a 3-year journey. It was just like, boom, we're here, we're doing it. And because it was a post-grad course, I was surrounded by people who were, I was 21, I was like the youngest.
Yeah.
There were people who were in their 30s who were retraining or who were maybe switching professions, or people who had previously been mainly dancers but now wanted to be actor-singers. Mm-hmm. So you had people from all walks of life, some of whom had worked in the West End or internationally. And we were all just in there, like just non-stop all day, every day. It was a whirlwind, like it went in the blink of an eye. But I left that with my first agent. And I went up to the Edinburgh Festival that summer and did The Last 5 Years, which has since become a very popular show, just a two-hander.
Yeah.
But at the time, I think that was the first time that show had been done outside of London ever in this country.
Yeah.
It had one outing in London, but it was like we were the second UK production. Mm-hmm. And now there's been like 200. But like, it's how far back it goes.
Yeah.
And while I was doing that sort of graduation and getting ready for that show, I had my first ever West End audition, which was for The Sound of Music.
Yeah.
And I got it.
Yeah.
I got cast as ensemble and first cover Rolf.
Okay.
Which was my first West End job, and I started that the day after The Last 5 years finished.
Yeah.
And I did a year as the understudy, and then they promoted me to be Rolf himself for the last 6 months of the contract. Mm-hmm. And that was such an important moment for me because, first of all, it was the first time I played a role in a West End theatre, but it would also lead to me learning, very importantly, that just because you've achieved that, it doesn't mean it just goes like this.
Yeah.
I left that show. It was amazing, but I was then unemployed for a year.
Uh-huh.
And that was when I learned how to be an unemployed actor and how to develop other skills and get other forms of income lined up and sort of prepare for life outside. So just to finish off, like that thing we were saying about the glamour, it really is swings and roundabouts and the seesaw, this career. So in my first 2 years, 3 years out of college, I learned the good and the bad. I learned how to be a character in a West End show. And also how to be an unemployed actor, all by the time I was 24.
That's and that's pretty young to be experiencing all of that.
Yeah.
What did you have a vision? So when you were at uni, when you were at Royal Academy, did you have a vision of what you expected West End life, if you like, what it would be like?
I think that we all do. I think we're all quite naive about it when we're studying and when we're training. And I think that we all fall victim to the successes that we've known at an amateur level or at a student level. And so, like we all have different casting, right? And I was always fortunate that my casting, like how I look, matched how I acted and how I sung. So it was like I was ready to play my age.
Yeah.
Whereas I have friends who had these incredible voices and were incredible actors, but they were character actors. So what I mean by that is when they were training, they were always playing the roles that were meant for 50 or 60-year-olds, even though they were teenagers or 21.
Yeah.
So they graduate perhaps being the most talented or perhaps being the most sort of successful at that level.
Yeah.
But then they are faced with the reality that they're actually 30 years too young to play those roles professionally.
Yeah.
And so they sometimes have careers that are back to front. They have to bide their time when they're young, and then they grow into it. And similarly, other people come out of college and play like 3 or 4 leads in a row, and then they realize later on in life that that was the thing they were good at, and they don't have the character chops or the comedic chops to play the roles that aren't the juvenile leads, the romantic parts. And so they then have to, you know, reposition themselves, or even in some cases leave the business. And you're still constantly reinventing yourself. So this idea of like a vision, some people, a very small minority, have a vision and it just goes that way.
Yeah.
I think for most of us, what happens is it's constant reinvention and constant readjustment. And in my case, you know, I had a wonderful, I'm going to call it decade.
Yeah.
As someone who did lots of work, but was mostly in the chorus, and I was understudying. And then around the time I turned 30, I got Raoul in the West End, which was my first principal West End role.
Yeah.
And then I've had a wonderful decade of playing parts. But now I'm turning 40 this year, and I'm starting this next chapter whereby I'm too old to play the parts I've mostly played up till now.
Yeah.
I still maybe look too young to play some of the next ones.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do for the next few years? We have to wait and see.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm bracing myself, and I'm ready for the idea that I'm at the beginning of a new chapter.
Yeah.
And so what's come before doesn't really count.
Yeah.
Like of course it counts in terms of my integrity and me being like, I have this CV of work and this body of work behind me. But it's not like a normal career where you get on a ladder and up you go. This is one where it's phases and cycles, and you have to be ready for that. And just because you're successful in one chapter, that might be your chapter. The others might not go that way.
Yeah.
And the positive side to that is that some of the biggest names in acting become huge later in life. You know, people like Helen Mirren, Judi Dench, and some of the most inspirational actors this country's ever produced probably were in their 40s when they got their first film. And then by the time they're 70, they have like won Oscars, and they've done hundreds of things which maybe they would never have dreamed of in their 20s and 30s. So this idea of like instant success, it's not the reality of the arts and theatre. It's a long slog.
I think that's so relatable just to entrepreneurship in general. Like everything you've said then, I can relate to in like different areas. So like I think a lot of people maybe who want to become business owners, they have that vision of like, okay, I've got this great idea. It's going to be an overnight success. It looks like they've had an overnight success, so I'm going to have one. Well, actually, no one's had an overnight success. Everyone's had 10 years behind them of failures, learning, changing directions, going in different routes. And then you have something incredible happen. And it's all different phases. So I think that's so important, because I think that's relatable to everybody. You know,
100%.
whatever kind of industry that you're in.
It's so true. And you've just made me think of a conversation I was having recently about this idea of instant gratification. And perhaps like one of the main negatives of the like social media era that we live in. Obviously, like we all use social media to its many advantages all the time. But this idea that people portray the image of success very quickly without sharing the grit and the work that goes behind. Like, you know, it's like that brilliant meme that always goes round of the iceberg, and only the tip sticks out of the water, and everything else is hidden under the surface. And I think that we live in a time where perhaps, without sounding old, forgive me, we live in a time where perhaps people quit on things too quickly, 100%. Give up on things too quickly. If something hasn't made them rich or successful within a year or two, they bin it and start again. And it's a bit like how people on their Instagram will like go through it every now and then and delete pictures from the past because it's like, oh, I've moved on from that. That's not part of my journey anymore. But like maybe we should all be more open about the negative, well, not negative, but the hard stories and the work that leads to a certain place. And, you know, you said earlier, you know, I'm so fortunate right now to be playing the Phantom in Phantom of the Opera. Like it's been my dream role for over a decade. But not many people who I meet now consider how I got there. And, you know, I think and this is something I'm very proud of. I think I'm the only person associated with Phantom ever who has been second understudy Raoul, first understudy Raoul, and then the Phantom.
Yeah.
So I literally had to go
with
through
some gaps in between.
with gaps in between, with 2 or 3 years in between.
Yeah.
In some cases. So it's like this 15-year journey in which, you know, there were 3 or 4 times where I was told no, sorry, you know, I was the understudy and I was trying to get the role of Raoul and I auditioned for it and they said no, you're not ready. You know, go away for a few years, come back, and then we'll make this work in the future at some point. And you, at the time, you think, yeah, right, they're just saying that. You know, they want someone else. But that's what happened. You know, 3 years later, they offered me the part, and then I was desperate to be considered as a Phantom at that point, and they were like, no, you're too young. You're not ready for that. Go away. Same thing.
Yeah.
And then, you know, 15 years on from that journey starting, I got the role.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think that's the number one lesson that I would offer to anybody who's starting out in a new career, whatever field actually. Just like try your hardest to like accept that if you want a career to be in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
You know?
And accept that there's going to be knockbacks along the way.
Yeah.
Like I remember having a conversation with you, you know how you were saying about, you know, when you were younger and you were in your 30s, you played the, you know, the younger roles, and you're now entering that next chapter where you're going to play that next stage, playing people like the Phantom, for example. I remember having a conversation with you maybe 5 or 6 years ago where you, I don't know if you're even aware, but I think you've been really certain that this is where you were going to end up,
right,
without even maybe realizing it.
Yeah,
because I remember you saying to me, I'm too young for that. In the future though, but just in like passing comments.
Yeah.
So I think you've had probably maybe subconsciously more than consciously, the desire to make sure you ended up doing this role.
Yeah.
And you've had that, which has probably driven you, again, whether you were aware or not, that has driven you through that whole 15 years.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if you're, you know, if you've got a vision of any kind and you're like, no, do you know what? No matter what, I don't care when it happens, but it's going to happen. I'm sure of it because I know I'm capable of it. And I know now might not be the right time. It's going to happen. If you've got that certainty and self-belief and confidence, and then you take all the action around it to make it happen, which you have done. I've seen it myself, even like recording that song you did on your album where you played the Phantom and Celinda did the duet.
The flamenco
that was
one,
how many years ago?
9
years ago. And you're, maybe they'll hear it and they'll keep me in mind. Do you know what I mean? Like little things which have all added up to this point.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And it's really interesting hearing someone else vocalize it, because I think what you're saying there is, that's me demonstrating that the experience I've been through of going one step at a time, and rejections in between, and time off in between. And, you know, I spent enough time in that building to see with my own eyes that it doesn't always go your way, and that you have to be patient. And also, like, just looking around at, you know, some actors who I'm very fortunate to now call friends and colleagues, people like Ramin Karimloo, Killian Donnelly, Kerry Ellis, some of the biggest names in my industry. When we were kids, they were understudies in the West End.
Yeah.
You know, and it's almost like as soon as someone becomes a lead or a star, that part of their story is like discarded.
Yeah.
But the reality is that, you know, they've all had similar journeys and they're all still working in a, you know, in the age bracket that I'm entering now, you know, and I think that that's maybe the thing that, whilst there is lots of rejection and whilst there is a lot of thick skin required, the thing that gives you hope for the future always, and that keeps you going, is that it can always be your time, and that big role could always be ahead.
Yeah.
And so if you really want to be in it for the long haul, to not lose faith, and just keep working at your craft and working hard, and be a good company member, be a good team player, and, you know, you never know where it's going to lead you.
And be happy for other people who are getting it
when it's their time.
Yeah.
100%.
That's another
100%.
massive thing. You know, jealousy, there's so much of it, isn't there, in every industry? Friendship group, family, like everything. Jealousy is such a big thing. And the minute you go down that route of, why is it happening to them and not me? And that real kind of like resentment,
for sure,
but you push yourself away from that end goal that you want.
And I do think that is definitely something that you become more aware of as you get older in life, whatever field you work in.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely remember, God, like I remember like 20-year-old me or 19-year-old me being like fuming if someone else got a role, and I probably behaved really badly and was really sulky, and you know, I cringed thinking back at how like personally I took it if something didn't go my way. Whereas like now, you know, we look out for each other. People who have been around for a while, you know, we throw gigs each other's way. If someone asks me to do something and I can't do it, I'll immediately suggest someone else. They do the same for me. Sometimes I go for an audition and I'm waiting outside and someone walks out the room and it's a friend, or I see another friend on the name ticking in sheet after me, and like I'll be like, oh, at least one of us might get it. You know, I hope if it's not me, it's them. And people are kind. People are kind, but it does take a while. I think it takes a maturity that only comes from the experience of getting it wrong sometimes, and learning that it's a team effort and it's a family. And if it's one person's time now, it might be yours later, and vice versa. And you have to just be supportive of each other.
Yeah. And that is definitely a growth. That's just a growth thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which brings me on very nicely to my next question. So you have, well, I say obviously for me, obviously, but you have been through a very transformational journey. I'd say specifically over the last 10 years, probably.
Yeah.
But longer in general. Is there any pivotal moments in your life that have, career aside?
Yeah.
You can include career if that's there, but career aside, that you would say have contributed to that personal growth and that personal journey that you've been on?
I think that the standout one is becoming a dad. I have two very wonderful daughters.
Yeah.
Who obviously you know.
Shout out Saskia and Mila.
Shout out Saskia and Mila. Who, as of this coming July, will be 9 and 7.
Stop.
I know. Having children changed absolutely everything for me. And I know that we said like career aside, but I feel like my career really demonstrates well how important it is to have things in your life that are more important than your job.
Yeah.
You know, when you do what you love for a living, it can be hard to leave work behind. It can be hard to just like let it go for a bit. And you know, many of the most successful people in the world love their jobs, but they're also experts at like not answering the phone, leaving the office and not thinking about work till the next day, or, you know, having those times of year where they're just unavailable.
Yeah.
In theatre and in music, you feel like you have FOMO constantly. And if you don't say yes to an opportunity, or you don't pick up that phone call, or you don't say that you'll do it, even though secretly you're annoyed how low the fee is, or that you're going to miss out on something and it will negatively impact your life.
Yeah.
The second you have kids, I always say, like, friends of mine have at times asked me, like, what's it like being a parent? And these are obviously people who don't have kids.
Yeah.
And I always say that the biggest thing about having kids is that it's the first time in your life you don't have to fall in love with something.
Yeah.
Everything else in your life,
yeah,
every relationship, every passion, every hobby, every place, every whatever, you fall in love with over time. But your kids you love instantly.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of that is to do with the weight of responsibility you feel for them versus like how we're designed.
Yeah.
Genetically, hormonally,
Probably
chemically. I think it's probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
That feeling of providing and protecting suddenly becomes more important than anything else. And therefore, in a really healthy way, makes everything else matter that little bit less. And so now, or for the last 9 years, I should say, my life decisions focus first and foremost around other people, rather than what's my career path, what am I doing next, what does this person and that person think of me. You start to care a little bit less in a healthy way about other things, and care more about what's immediately around you.
Yeah.
And I think that is a really healthy thing. Now, like, obviously, I'm not sat here saying that people need to have kids in order to be able to experience that.
Yeah.
Some people are fabulous at like doing this for themselves anyway. Some people are really good at the self-care, really good at the work-life balance, and have been from a very young age. But I think for a lot of us who work certainly as self-employed people and freelancers, work can become very all-consuming.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful that the rejections and the tough times now don't sting in the way they used to, because they're just not as important.
Yeah.
They just aren't, because what is important is, how are my kids?
Yeah.
When am I seeing them?
Yeah.
What am I doing with them?
Puts things into perspective. Basically.
Yeah, it's an ultimate leveler.
Yeah.
It's the most grounding and humbling thing, and it is harder than any job.
Yeah.
It's harder than any job.
Yeah.
And it's also hard because it's always a first time.
Yeah.
You know, there's always a first time the girls are a certain age.
Yeah.
There's always the first time they do that thing or want to do that thing. How do you deal with that? And
especially with two girls.
Yeah, exactly.
Even more so than with boys.
Yeah, I don't even have the memories of my own childhood to call on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
You might be getting a few phone calls in the
sure
teenage years ahead.
Once they've got their phones, whenever that will be.
But it's the most beautiful thing in the world, and it's, you know, obviously, like, I've been on tour for the last 18 months to 2 years, and it's really hard.
That's what I was going to ask you.
It's really hard, but the thing that makes it work, or at least how I convince myself it works, is the fact that my tour is very fragmented. So whilst I might go away for periods of time, I've never had to go more than 2 or 3 weeks without coming home.
Yeah.
And I've been very fortunate, actually, that my employers on the tour have been supportive of the fact that I'm a parent.
Yeah.
And I think this is a really good thing that's happening in the world now.
Yeah.
Especially in my industry, which used to be very sort of not anti, but very unhelpful towards parents. It would just be like, well,
it is what it is.
If you wanted that job, you shouldn't have had kids. You know, it's changed.
Yeah.
And I was able to get some NAs built into my contracts to make sure that I'm home every couple of weeks to spend time with my daughters. And I worked out, you know, it didn't take very long to work out that even though I'm doing work overseas, I'm spending more nights and quality time with them than I would if I had been in a West End show working 6 nights a week for a year, for example, you know, when everything would become focused on the Sunday or the day off, the one day off. But they've got school, they've got clubs, they've got things, they've got their own lives, you know, they're busy. Whereas now, well, yes, I might be away for 2 weeks, but then when I come home, I'm just dad.
Yeah.
And that's a really nice thing.
Quality time is, yeah. I think everyone can become guilty of that, can't they? Like, whether it's with your kids or partner or family, whatever, when you spend a lot of time with people, like me and Greg, for example, we're in the house together a lot of the time, but I'm doing work, he's doing work. Like, you're not really spending quality time together.
You're living alongside each other, but you're not, because you know you're going to see each other every day, you don't have that concentrated effort or focus.
Yeah. But then when you know, we've just been away for 3 days, and that's, you know, we're not working, spending time, like actually spending time together. And if you can have that with your kids, that's even, like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And that probably just gets you through each time you go away. You probably think, well, okay, it's a bit shit, but when I get back, it's going to be so much better.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. That's exactly it. And the other thing that helps, of course, is now they are that little bit older.
Yeah.
And they've actually been to see me do what I do.
Yeah.
They understand a little bit more why it is that I'm away.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a bit less like, why is dad not around?
Yeah.
And it's a bit more like, oh, okay, dad's away, but we also understand that in 2 weeks we're spending a week with him.
Yeah.
For example.
Does Saskia, so for our listeners, Saskia's older by 2 years. Does she kind of, because I can imagine her doing this, does she kind of explain to Mila a bit more about what's going on? And is she a bit more kind of, don't worry, Mila, like, da da da? I can just imagine her taking that role.
That's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're so cute. Bless them both. Like, there have been some really funny conversations and some really tough conversations. About this topic, and like maybe like even in the car. On the way to school, where like Saskia will say, "So, Dad, like you're going away tonight, and you're away for a week, but then you're back for a week, and we're going to Cornwall or whatever we're doing
Yeah.
for Easter holiday, and like she wants to know all the plans. She wants the diary.
Yeah.
And then Mila will just pipe up and be like, Dad, I don't actually want to know where you're going because it makes me feel more sad.
Oh, bless her.
And like, that's hard. It's hard to hear that.
Yeah.
But you know,
different. That's different.
A year later,
yeah,
she's not saying that anymore.
Yeah.
Now she just like, I'm like, give Daddy a hug goodbye. Like, I'm off, and she's like, okay, bye.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever.
They are like,
ya.
They're beautifully adaptable.
Yeah.
And as long as they understand what's going on,
Yeah.
they get their heads around it. But having said that, like, I do also look forward to a time when I'm not working away so much.
Yeah.
Because of course I want to spend more time with them.
Of course,
it's only natural.
So with that, your career obviously at the moment is a lot of traveling. Is that, how far ahead are we looking for that to be the case? Is it till the end of the year?
It's at the moment, it's until October.
Okay.
But just to like demonstrate the point I was making earlier, you know, I'm contracted until October. We're going to 4 different cities with the show.
Yeah.
But on the whole, it's like 2 weeks there, 2 or 3 weeks back.
Yeah.
2 weeks there, a week back, 2 weeks. Like it's constantly back and forth because they have to put the show onto 18 trucks and drive it across Europe, you know, and then they have to rebuild it in the new theatre, and you know, it's.
Do they use the same sets?
Yeah, it's one set.
Really?
Yeah, and all the costumes and everything goes on trucks.
Oh my god!
Or in some cases on planes.
Yeah,
and it's trucked or freighted to the next venue.
God.
And the crew are amazing. They like, you know, they take the whole thing apart in 2 days. They build it all in 3 or 4 days, and then we step on the stage and it's the same.
Yeah.
But we're in a completely different country.
Is it always this? I feel like when I came and saw you where did I last see you? Where did I last come and see you?
Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Yeah.
Was it slightly different? Wasn't the stage slightly different? The set was slightly different to somewhere previous. You know, like you have the stairs that go up the middle.
Yeah.
Or is it always like that?
No, I think the main set is totally the same.
Yeah.
I think what varies from venue to venue is because obviously each theatre is a different size.
Yeah.
They sometimes have more or less of the sort of the flats and the cloths that go in the wings and at the back to fill the space.
Right.
So you know, if the set looks slightly smaller,
Yeah.
you might see more things in the wings and at the back to make it feel more intimate.
Okay.
Whereas if you're in a bigger venue, where the auditorium is really wide, they might have to add a few things so that you can't see into the wings from the auditorium, for example.
Yeah.
But the main centerpiece of the set is the same.
Yeah.
The giant wall and staircase and
What I've just randomly thought of some questions I want to ask you, which are not relevant to anything, but I'm just intrigued.
Go for it.
What, with all your touring that you do, what makes something a really good tour experience for you? Because I know you've had better experiences than others.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that I've worked overseas quite a lot in the last decade, and I think I'm going to say 3 things.
Yeah.
One, that the local promoters or the local hosts who are welcoming the show into their city understand the value of looking after their team.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is I don't just mean like, you know, financially. Yeah. Because, you know, we're all on a salary and we get paid the same wherever we go. And we get paid the same no matter how many people are in the audience. You know, we have a salary for the job.
Yeah.
But what I mean is hospitality and the effort that is made for us to feel welcome in the place or to be hosted well.
Yeah.
So in some countries we will go to and the hotel will be incredible and it will be a 5-star thing and it'll be, you know, they'll throw welcome drinks for us and then they'll throw something else for us and they'll surprise us with a meal. And these are very small things for these people to do that demonstrate their gratitude and their excitement about us being there.
Yeah.
And then in other circumstances, it's not that anyone does anything unpleasant or wrong. Yeah. It's just that they don't really have anything to do with us.
Yeah.
They, you know, they'll say hello once at the beginning and then we'll never see them again. And that's fine, but it doesn't make you feel like they're excited for you to be there. Yeah. You know?
You don't feel as valued.
You don't feel as valued. Yeah. Yeah. It makes you just feel like, okay, so we're this month's entertainment and then we're out and someone else is in. Yeah. We're on a conveyor belt of things. Yeah. Whereas in other places we've been made to feel like, oh my God, Phantom's coming here. We're so lucky.
Yeah.
these people are so special. We want to look after them, and we want you to come back. We want you to come back to our country. We want you to feel like you've kind of fell in love with this place a bit.
Yeah.
And it's all in the details. It's how you're spoken to. It's the effort people make to communicate with you and make you feel included. And hospitality. Yeah. You know, we're as we've said, we're Lebanese, right? Hospitality is vital in our culture.
Yeah.
And it's not about lavishness or money. It's about effort. Mm-hmm. And it's about wanting people to feel welcome in your home, metaphorically. Yeah. And we've been to some countries where, you know, they feel very special to us because we were made to feel like they were excited to have us. Yeah. So I think that's the most important one. Yeah. The other one is going somewhere where they are not used to your show being, that kind of show being there. You know, performing in London is phenomenal. Yeah. As I'm sure performing in New York is. I've never had the fortune to do that. Mm-hmm. But these are like the theatrical homes of the world. Yeah. But you're one of 200 options for the audience that evening. You are facing an audience who go to the theatre all the time and maybe are a little bit like, I paid a lot of money for this ticket, you better impress me. Yeah. Arms folded. Uh-huh. Or someone who's at the end of a long day at the office doesn't really want to be there, but they've committed to going, so they're there.
Been dragged by their other half. Yeah.
It can be a bit of a cold place. Yeah. Even though it's the pinnacle of our industry. Mm. Whereas you go to a country like Saudi Arabia or Serbia or Portugal. I'm just thinking of, you know, ones we've been to recently.
Saudi was that the first place?
Saudi was the first place I played the Phantom. Yeah. That's cool. You go to places where they don't have shows like this very often. Yeah. And you feel like a rock star at the end of that show on that stage. Uh-huh. You see thousands of people standing, going wild, and it hits you that even though Phantom is this 40-year-old machine that has played all over the world and been successful all over the world, nothing makes it feel more fresh and exciting than taking it to people who aren't used to seeing it. Yeah. Or maybe would previously have had to have paid a lot of money to travel somewhere else to see it. Yeah. And now it's in their hometown. They feel a sense of excitement. They feel special. They feel lucky. Uh-huh. And therefore we feel special and lucky when we perform it. Yeah. And that energy, that like communication between the crowd and the cast is electric. Yeah. And when you have a venue like that, you feel like, God, I mean, me personally, 200 men have played the Phantom. Yeah. But maybe I'm the first person to have done it in that place. Yeah. And I'm that audience's first interpretation of the role. Uh-huh. And that doesn't feel like a 40-year-old musical. That feels like something new and exciting. Yeah.
So that makes perfect sense about, you know, when it's somewhere specifically, if you go to London or New York, in, you know, on paper, that's probably the coolest place to do these things. Yeah. But actually,
you're a tiny fish in a very big ocean. Yeah. And that is, you know, that has its place. Of course it does. Yeah. We all aspire to work in these great institutions in London and America, like it's an actor's dream. Yeah. But there's also something very grounding and special about taking something to a part of the world where they aren't so fortunate in terms of their exposure to the arts. Yeah. You feel like you're making a bit more of a difference in a way. You're contributing slightly more to a culture or to a group of people. Yeah. Rather than just being a long-running piece of entertainment that anyone could go and see on any night over
just another
decades.
Thing. Yeah. Yeah.
So those are the two main things that make a place special on tour. And the third one is I'm going to just say it, like the weather.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's a massive thing.
If you go somewhere warm and sunny, where you want to be out all day walking and exploring and absorbing the culture, that's amazing. Yeah. If you go somewhere where it's 2 degrees and sleet or snow, and everything's kind of closed or quiet because it's off season, that's a bit more of a grind.
Yeah. Unless you're in Switzerland and it's white snow and it's Christmas market time. That's more fun.
I have a love-hate relationship with Switzerland because I've loved Switzerland my whole life. Yeah. I've always enjoyed visiting it and now working in it, but it is where I had the first major injury of my life.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
And that wasn't that long ago.
No.
That was in November? December.
Yeah.
So talk us through it.
So on the 4th of December.
You were there touring for Phantom.
In Basel.
Yeah.
Which is where the Eurovision Song Contest was this weekend.
Is that where it was?
Yeah.
I didn't even watch it.
We were doing a 6 or 7 week season of Phantom.
Yeah.
And I was having a really nice time in Basel. I was in a really good routine. Show was in good shape. And I personally was feeling like the healthiest and fittest I have felt in years.
Yeah.
I've been, we talk about this a bit more in a minute maybe, but as I've always been a runner. I've always been a gym goer. I've done 5 marathons. I've played tennis since the age of 6.
Yeah.
And I have never had a muscular or bone or physical injury of any description from any of those things.
Which is pretty lucky, to be fair, in nearly 40 years.
It is. And I think that's the crux of it.
Yeah.
The crux of it is that I was playing paddle tennis with some of my colleagues. And we'd been playing for an hour, and I had no pain. I had no signs that anything was about to happen.
Yeah.
And then I really nonchalantly leant forward to start running towards a ball.
Yeah.
And my Achilles tendon snapped. Complete rupture.
Oh, gosh.
And people who've had this injury often describe the noise it makes.
Yeah.
And I was always a bit like, that sounds a bit dramatic.
Yeah.
But it really does. It sounds like a gunshot. It's
really?
like the loudest bang that reverberates around the entire room.
What?
My friend, Dougie, who I was playing with, he thought I had smacked the wall at the side of the court with my racket because he heard it from 20 meters away on the other side of the net. I thought I had smacked the back of my leg with my racket by mistake.
Yeah.
But then as soon as I tried to put my foot on the ground and walk, I just knew. I knew instantly what I'd done because I'd seen enough.
You just knew.
Yeah. Matt Does Fitness.
Yeah.
So love Matt Does Fitness.
Yeah.
Me and the girls watch his eating challenges with his kids constantly. So shout out to him if he ever listens.
We'll tag him.
He had the same injury a few years ago.
Oh, did he?
Exactly the same. He was playing football.
Yeah.
And him describing it and watching him go through his... he documented it all. It's all on YouTube.
Okay.
His first consultation, his surgery, his recovery, his rehab, it's all on there. It was the most helpful thing. I had happened to watch that.
You should vlog. It's too late now.
Too late now. But I'd happened to watch all that about 2 years ago.
Wow.
And thought my God, poor guy. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
And then anyway, it happened to me.
Oh my God.
So I'm in Switzerland. There's still 2 weeks left of the season of Phantom. It's coming up to Christmas.
Yeah.
And I hobble somehow, I don't even remember how, I get myself back to my apartment.
Hold on. Before you go there, what was that initial thought that you had when you realised what you'd done?
Denial.
Oh, I've not done it.
Yeah, just like maybe I've got it wrong. Maybe it's just a strain. Maybe it's just a partial tear.
Yeah.
It's not a full rupture. Maybe I won't need surgery.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get away with this somehow.
Yeah.
And I stupidly, probably, walked myself back to my apartment, which was only about 15 minutes walk.
Yeah.
And I went obviously incredibly slowly.
Yeah.
But I could just gently put my foot on the ground very slowly. And then I'm sat there and it starts to dawn on me what's happened, and my brain goes into a more rational mode and it thinks right, well, I probably need to tell the company manager that I'm not going to be performing tonight.
Yeah.
I probably should have a shower because I'm in sweaty tennis gear and I think I need to go to hospital and might be there for a long time.
Yeah.
And might not be in a position where I'll be able to shower for a few days after it because I might be in a cast or I might be in a boot or whatever. So my brain starts clicking into gear. And I call the boss, company manager. She's our boss on tour. I mean, very, very supportive on the day. And she took me to hospital. Yeah. Had all the tests done. And the doctor was literally like, I'm really sorry. It's a full rupture. Oh, clean rupture.
Yeah. The worst it could be.
The worst it could be. The only thing that's positive about it was how clean the break was. It was just a complete straight line, horizontal tear. If it's a bit jagged and uneven, that can be a more complicated recovery process, but it was a clean snap.
Yeah.
And then I'm just lying there with all the negative thoughts in the world racing through my head.
Yeah.
Am I going to have surgery? Do I have to stay in Switzerland for Christmas and New Year?
Yeah.
Can I travel with this? Can I get home and see my girls?
Yeah.
Can I do my rehab there? Am I ever going to work again? Am I going to lose my job?
Yeah.
Am I ever going to be able to run again or do any kind of sport again? Like all these things at a million miles an hour just racing through your brain. And the one thing that stopped that was me saying to him, can I please just ask you, like, why does this happen? Like, what has caused this? And this goes back to what you said earlier about the luck. You know, I haven't had an injury for 40 years or 39 years. So I have basically carried on in the same way that I was doing when I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
In terms of like volume of activity, but also attitude towards things like warming up and stretching and rehab, recovery, ice baths, sauna, massage, all these things that when you're younger you think like, I don't need that.
Yeah.
Because I've never had a problem. So
I'll just
do what I always do.
Yeah.
So I've been behaving in a sport sense as a 39-year-old the same way I would have done when I was 25.
Yeah.
And of course, you look at any athlete of any description, by that point in their career, they've been riddled with injuries and problems. And they're doing, you know, the ones like Ronaldo who are still going at that age are obsessed with massage, ice baths, you know, all kinds of treatments to keep the oxygen going through their muscles and cryotherapy and whatever else, infrared, you know, it's everything. But they're doing all that. And I've never done any of that.
Yeah.
The only thing I've ever done as a runner is foam rolling and stretching.
Yeah.
And I believe they were the reasons that I never got injuries.
Yeah.
And maybe they were.
Yeah.
But it was just a big wake-up call, basically. So I had to fly home and I had to have surgery.
Yeah.
I had surgery on the 12th of December. So I spent Christmas in a cast.
Yeah.
I think.
No, you were in your boot.
No, I was in my boot by Christmas. So I was only in a cast for a week.
Yeah.
And the 23rd or something, I got out of my cast and went into one of those orthopedic boots, the Vacoped, which is like now my nemesis.
Yeah.
And for those who've never seen one of those, it's a really robust plastic boot, and they put your foot in it at that angle, so that you're in a plantar flexed position, which actually it might be dorsiflexed. I can't remember.
I don't know.
One's plantar flexed, one's dorsiflexed. Yeah. But basically, your foot pointing down so that your tendon is relaxed, because your tendon gets tight when your foot comes up.
Yeah.
That's when it lengthens and goes tight.
Yeah.
So they put your foot like that, and then every week or so it moves up a bit until you have it until you can put all your body weight on it in a flat position, which I think took about 8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you come out of the boot and you go into a shoe, your trainer with a little heel raise inside.
Yeah.
And you've started physio by now, and you know it's a long road. It's a really long road. And the bottom line is, because I don't want to bore everyone by going on like this forever, but
people are probably intrigued as to how it went down.
The upshot of it is that it took 12 weeks, 3 months to be able to start being reintegrated back into work.
Yeah.
So I missed 3 months of work.
Am I right in saying that you had 2 weeks left in Switzerland?
Yes.
And then you did have a chunk of break, didn't you? Which was quite lucky.
Thankfully, there was a 6-week layoff for Christmas and New Year from the show anyway, before the next leg started.
Yeah.
And then the next leg was Antwerp and Prague, and most recently Belgrade. So we had a 3-city stint, but it wasn't until Belgrade that I was doing 8 shows a week again. So initially I was just doing physio, then I was doing physio and rehearsals, then I was doing physio rehearsals and technical rehearsals, which is where you start to add costume and mics and sound and the show conditions.
Yeah.
You know. And then eventually, after, you know, a month of that, I did 2 shows in the last week in Antwerp. And then from 2 went up to 5, and from 5 went to 6. Then around 6, 7, I floated at that for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It was very tiring. I wasn't quite used to it. It took a bit longer, and then eventually 8. So it's like reintegrating back into work whilst also relearning how to walk, whilst also going back to the gym, whilst also going to physio. Like, it is all consuming.
And being a dad.
Yeah. But the positive, you know, let's positive spin it now, right?
Yeah.
Number 1, I'm more in tune with and into my body and my health than I ever have been. And that's a good place to be when I'm about to turn 40. Like,
True.
may my 40s be my fittest and strongest decade.
Yeah.
Like, that's where my head's at.
Nice.
I have started taking more supplements to help my body. I've started taking collagen. I've started taking more protein and creatine to help me regain the muscle that I lost.
Yeah.
So I'm cooking more. I'm drinking less. I'm more active. Like, all these things maybe wouldn't have happened to the same extent if I had just cruised on through without a wake-up call.
That's such a common thing, isn't it? I know rock bottom is probably not as extreme a word, like it's a bit too extreme a word for that. It was horrendous for you, but
Could always be worse.
It could always be worse, but not always, but the majority of the time, people have to hit a certain point where they go, I need to make a change.
Yeah.
Yours for you wasn't your typical, I need to make a change to my life, because you were fit and you were healthy.
Yeah. That was the frustrating part.
Yeah. But there were so many more things that you could have been doing to help the situation,
Absolutely.
which you weren't aware of, and you're never aware of until you have to be aware of it.
100%.
And now you're aware of it.
And now I'm aware of it. And
So
it's
all
like,
good.
I as you know, I'm a huge football fan.
Yeah.
And my team, Arsenal, has had some major injuries this season.
Yeah.
And I've found it really fascinating.
Have you?
Watching the difference in speed of their recovery times compared to mine.
Analysing it all.
Because of the access they have to the physiotherapists, the best surgeons, the best rehab, they're just 24/7 rehabilitation. Whereas for someone who is a working dad away from home, it's more like, 3 or 4 sessions a week of an hour or 2 each, rather than 9 to 5 every day being massaged or being physioed.
It's like their full-time thing.
It's a full-time job for them.
Yeah.
So they, Bukayo Saka can tear his hamstring and have surgery on it and be back playing in the Champions League 3 months later, 4 months later. Whereas
that's crazy, isn't it?
I had my surgery in December and only yesterday ran on a treadmill for the first time. It's like, it's all about information. And of course, footballers are a bad example because they're ultra
they have access
privileged with the access they have, and that's part of their job. But it's like incomparable. But it's also inspiring to see how quickly the body can recover. And I guess that's something else that I've learned, which is that the body is amazing. Like, it's absolutely incredible how, like, I had, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, I had no calf muscle on my right leg, and now it's almost the same size as my other one.
Yeah.
And that's so quick, really, when you think about it. So I'm constantly inspired by progress. And I suppose one good thing about hitting, I'm not going to call it rock bottom, but I'm going to call it like a blank slate, like starting from zero.
Yeah.
Doing a calf raise while seated, body weight only, and then 2 months later, calf raising 40 kilos on a machine.
Yeah.
Like, that is the kind of progress that we all desperate for
So
in the
true.
gym all the time.
Yeah.
So for once, like, every session, my numbers are going up, my weights are going up, and that's really buzzy. That's
great for your
reason.
mind, isn't it?
Yeah,
like
motivates you to get back in there.
Yeah. So let's go back to when, not to like zoom in on the negative, but when that happened. How did you find? Because I know that you've suffered with mental health stuff over the years, which we don't need to go into too much detail.
No,
You'll
happy to
share whatever you want to talk about. But how did you find that 3 months or 4 months where you were really not doing much, not running? Because I know running is a massive thing for you.
Yeah.
What was that like on a day-to-day basis?
Ups and downs.
Yeah.
I think that the lows were very low, and then there were moments that felt wonderful.
Yeah.
And because the bar was set low, like, little achievements on a daily basis felt like huge moments.
Yeah.
Like, the first time I, took my boot off and did exercises, the first physio session, first time someone says to you, this has healed really well.
Yeah.
I remember taking my dressing off my scar, and my scar had literally vanished over like a 3-week period. And that, like, made me cry, because I couldn't believe that what had initially looked like something from Frankenstein's leg. 3 weeks later, there was basically no evidence of it, just a very neat line. And I was like, how can that be that quick? So that was, there were little victories every day that made it feel like progress was being made.
Yeah.
But it was really hard leaving my job halfway through a season, knowing the show was going on just fine without me, because that's what happens. That's the reality.
Uh-huh.
As soon as my injury happens, and I don't begrudge them this whatsoever, because I've done exactly the same as a producer. The producer's thought is, we're gutted for him, but what the hell are we going to do?
How are we going to replace you?
Who do we get in? We need to get someone in now.
Yeah.
And it becomes about that.
Yeah.
And then that person arrives, and for everyone in the building, it's like, oh, he's come here to save the day. Like, that's amazing. And the focus is on working with that new actor.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely fine, because that's just, it's business. It's what happens,
Yeah.
So I don't take that personally, but it's also not easy to watch from afar when you just really want to be there doing the job you love.
Did you have any uncertainty about going back to work, or not? Were you kind of
there were moments. I think there were moments during the journey where I was worried that I'd never be able to do my job as well again. And there were moments where I thought completely irrationally, but that's what happens when you're in a bit of a darker place. Completely irrationally, where I thought like, oh, maybe they won't want me to come back because it's just easier for them to keep the actor who's there now.
Was there any conversation had before, like when that happened?
The thing that made it really tricky was that the injury happened just before the Christmas and New Year break.
Yeah.
So again, I don't begrudge them this whatsoever, but my employers were basically on holiday.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it wasn't until early January that those conversations started happening.
Yeah.
And by that point, there was a rehab plan, and there was a plan of how I might be reintegrated back into the show. It ended up taking 2 or 3 weeks longer than I would have liked, but I fully understand why it happened the way it did.
And 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, in hindsight. But at the time, it felt that was the toughest part. The toughest part was being back on the tour.
Yeah.
Doing the physio, doing the rehearsals, but not being able quite yet to do the show.
Yeah.
And as I said, all respect to the company, because I understand their reasons why they were protecting me, and they were also protecting the product. And the idea of me re-injuring myself was not something anyone was willing to entertain. So they just wanted to wait that little bit longer, and totally in hindsight, fair enough. I have no complaints.
Yeah.
And now that I'm back and I'm doing all the shows, it feels fantastic, and I wouldn't change anything, because it would have ended in a different outcome if I did. And it's not worth contemplating.
No, exactly.
What those outcomes might have been.
Yeah.
But it was hard. It was hard being, without wishing to sound dramatic, being completely dependent on other people.
Yeah.
For the first time in my adult life.
Yeah.
I couldn't carry anything. I couldn't cook. I couldn't do washing. I couldn't change bed sheets. For weeks, I couldn't do anything. I needed help.
Christmas Eve, you couldn't even take the girls' presents from one room to another.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah. Christmas morning, that was pretty devastating, actually. Trying to make Christmas special for the girls.
Yeah.
But not being able to get involved.
Yeah.
Having to watch Christmas from a couch.
That was quite evident. Yeah. That you weren't in a great place.
No, I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wish it on anybody. No. It's one thing to spend time with your loved ones, but we were saying this earlier, it's about the quality of the time.
Exactly.
Being an observer is not the same as being involved.
Yeah.
And also just being exhausted and being tired.
Yeah.
So trying, no matter how much you might try to be invested in it and be involved in it, an injury like that,
you can't.
It's not always possible, because you sit down and you might just fall asleep.
That did happen a few times.
Yeah, well, not
you
the first.
Sleep on the sofa with your wine glass in your hand. I just looked over and you were like,
yeah. I was more interested in sleeping than drinking. I think that's for sure.
Yeah.
But it's all learning, and it's all in the past.
So what did you do? Because I know that in the past you've turned to running.
Yeah.
A lot of the time to kind of, I'm going to go as far as save you. Yeah. In a lot of situations.
Yeah.
Over the years, you couldn't do that at this last time where you were in a really shit place.
Yeah.
So was there anything that you did? I'll talk about the running in a second, but was there anything that you did to manage those hard times over that period where you couldn't go running? You couldn't even go for a walk?
Yeah. I think that I tried really hard to channel my rehab into being the same thing that running and the gym had been previously.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I thought to myself, the more time I spend doing these exercises, doing the things my surgeon and my physio are telling me to do,
Yeah.
the sooner I'll be back.
Yeah.
And so anytime I felt down or frustrated, and it could literally be like a dark 15 minutes and then 3 hours of feeling fine.
Yeah.
And then suddenly just out of nowhere,
Just hits you,
boom,
doesn't it?
I would take myself off to another room and I would just do ankle movements, toe wiggles, calf raises, or like the things I was allowed to do. And like, you know, back then, like I mean, people probably can't see this, but like it was literally like
YouTubers could maybe
if I was doing that,
yeah,
I could like cry with joy at the achievement.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas like because previously, you know, it was like you can't move your foot, and you take the cast off, you literally have to relearn how to walk.
Yeah.
You cannot walk. You cannot put your foot on the floor without falling over, because you have no calf muscle. And it's just like, it's so bizarre. So I tried to make my rehab my running, and then I also tried to just throw myself into like the prep of Christmas.
Yeah.
Like wrapping presents, helping mum and dad with stuff.
Yeah.
You know, doing Christmas shopping for the girls online. Obviously.
Yeah.
And you know how I used to feel about online shopping.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to become a convert.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was tough. But repairing my body became my priority.
Yeah.
And so anytime I felt down, that was where I would go. I would turn to that.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes I overdid it. Maybe there'd be days like, not in a dangerous way.
Yeah.
Maybe there'd be days where like I knew my leg was tired, but
Yeah.
I would just be like, oh no, go on one more set.
Yeah.
One more set of exercises.
Did it become a bit obsessive almost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it became like a checklist.
Yeah.
You know, all the exercises in total, if you did the correct number of sets and the correct rest times between them, it was a 30 to 40 minute thing.
Okay.
And initially, I mean, it's a bit unlike other forms of training. Initially, it's like loads of reps.
Yeah.
Because there's low intensity. So you'd be doing this like 3 times a day. And then eventually you could switch to doing it more like do half the reps, but do it once an hour, every hour. So like, you know, the alarm would go every hour and I'd be like, right, come on, here we go. And, you know, there was nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So
that was all you had to do. All you had to focus on.
And then, you know, ultimately, once I started to get back into the gym, I started going to the gym with my boot on to do upper body. That was in January. And that felt amazing.
Yeah.
Got loads of support from people in the gym who would be like, oh, I've had that, or my brother's had that.
Oh, really?
Like suddenly started talking to people who've had the injury.
Yeah. And
that was inspiring.
Yeah.
And now I'm that person.
You're
so
doing
I
that.
saw a guy in my gym with the boot on the other day.
Yeah. Is it quite a common injury?
It's a common, I'm not going to say very, but it's a common injury in men between 30 and 40.
Right.
For the reasons I outlined earlier.
Yeah.
People who just have done sport, done activity, and have had heavy load through their tendons.
Running specific, do you think?
No, the most common in the world, the most common is actually basketball.
Okay.
Jump.
Yeah.
Plyometric specific.
Yeah. Okay.
But with running, what did it for me was that it was a sudden plyometric movement, that sudden like lean forward, and then pushing off my toe to try and run to the tennis net.
Yeah.
It's those sudden movements rather than steady state running.
Okay.
So if you're a sprinter, it's much more likely to happen than if you're a distance runner.
At that first part.
That first part when you push off to start the race. And, you know, these are the reasons why sprinters and people who play these sports are retired by their mid to late 30s.
Yeah.
Because eventually things like this happen. And happened to Kobe Bryant, you know.
Yeah.
A very famous case. And he came back from it. But, you know, there's lots of other athletes who've been through it. I think David Beckham. Happened to David Beckham in his 30s as well, near his retirement. You know, it's that sudden turn, that sudden jump, that sudden dash for something that. So if you can avoid sudden movements, you're kind of good to go back to it.
You don't know when that could potentially happen. Like when you're playing tennis or paddle, whatever you're doing, you don't think I'm about to make a sudden movement. Your body just does it, doesn't it?
And it can literally feel like you're not doing anything at all.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's quite scary. But sorry, I've lost my train of thought about how I got onto that.
I was asking you what you were doing to instead of running.
That's right.
And you were using your rehab.
I was saying when I got back into the gym.
Yeah.
For the other stuff, upper body and whatever.
That was it,
and started using the bike, elliptical, walking on the treadmill, like the rehab really ramped up.
Yeah.
And then I reached a place where my physio was starting to give me, I was out of the boot and back in my trainers, and I was getting the first thing that resembled a leg day,
Right.
gym leg day.
Yeah.
Like, but it was much more about dynamic movement, and it was much more like, you know, kettlebell squats and banded work and calf raises to begin with like tiny weights, like 4 kilo dumbbells or a 4 kilo kettlebell doing squats.
Yeah.
And then every week building. And once I got to that place, it totally impacted my productivity in other areas.
Yeah.
And I started writing music again. I started, you know, taking on other professional projects.
I was going to ask you, did you do any writing during that period?
The first month I had absolutely no desire, no motivation.
Yeah.
I was in too negative a headspace to take on creativity.
But I think that's really important to talk about, because I think often, especially when people are in a dark place, if you've got that kind of awareness that you need to get out of that dark place, you almost don't ever let yourself feel the crap stuff, when you actually do need to feel that stuff first before you can do the other stuff. And a lot of people will, you know, think, oh, I need to get out of this headspace immediately, I better start writing some music. And then you start writing things which it's not going to be good.
It would have been like, it wouldn't have been of a good quality, and it would have been very emo.
It would have been extremely depressing. And anyone that listened to it would probably be very depressed.
It would have been a bit like dark.
Yeah. But that's important to talk about, isn't it? Because I think it's so important to, and I've mentioned this a few times with other people on the podcast, that it's really important to just sit in those feelings, even if it's for a day or 2 days or a week or a month, not much longer than that, but sit in it for a bit before you then go, right, okay, I've released all the negative stuff.
I think you're spot on. And I also think that what you've just brought up there is kind of like the crux of this conversation about health, which is that there's physical health and there's mental health, right? But they are both health.
100%.
And when one needs fixing, sometimes so does the other.
Yeah.
And I think this is the biggest distinction, which thankfully is changing more and more as the years go by.
Yeah.
The taboos of mental health versus the everyday normality of physical health.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think me having no motivation to write or do anything creative or professional was because my body knew that my priority needed to be to heal. So if that's the case with a physical injury, it must also be applicable to a mental health situation. And that is kind of, you know, you mentioned it briefly earlier, like my mental health journey over the last decade has been learning that.
Yeah.
And being a 39-year-old, I grew up, as you did, in a time where mental health was extremely taboo.
Yeah.
And any time it was mentioned, people thought you were just sad or complaining or making excuses.
Yeah. People didn't really talk about it.
People didn't talk about it at all. It was just completely deemed a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
It's the only way I can describe it. If someone was, you know, struggling mentally, they would get like really like patronizing, sympathetic looks when discussed by other people. And it would be like, yeah, well, they're not very well, you know. It was all very horrible and negative.
It's not quite right.
It basically, like, the only way I can describe it succinctly is that I was taught to believe and conditioned by my world that I must never admit that, because it will make people not want to hire me. It will make people think there's something wrong with me. It will make people think I'm weak. And so I developed all kinds of neuroses and people-pleasing skills, whereby in any situation, my feelings and my truthful response to something swept under a rug and was the least important thing. And what mattered to me was pleasing others, doing anything I can to avoid confrontation with others because I don't want to upset them. And that leads to making really stupid choices.
Was that those things that you just said there, so like people pleasing, putting other people first, all of that, were those conscious things that you were aware you were doing at the time?
Not in the slightest.
No,
just instinctive.
You just look back now and go, that's what I was doing.
And I didn't learn about those things until my 30s. Until I had a period where I was diagnosed with depression. And I went on citalopram, which worked for me. It was great. And I did therapy for a year and a half, 2 years, with an amazing woman called Lindsay, and I only stopped because we reached a point where genuinely one session I went in, and she was like, "We're just chatting, aren't we? We're just catching up. Like, I feel like you need to go away and try these things for yourself now. These like new learned behaviors and new habits."
Her work was done.
And it wasn't very much like a door's always open. Like, come back and see me in the future. But for now, this doesn't need to be a weekly thing or a bi-weekly thing. And like me realizing that it was okay to ask for help and get help only happened because I had hit a brick wall where I didn't know how to kind of exist anymore. I didn't know how to behave anymore. I didn't know how to interact with people. I didn't know how to talk about my feelings. I didn't know how to communicate.
Did that happen? Sorry to interrupt you. Did that happen over a period of time, or was it like an instant thing?
Period of time
that creeped up on you.
Yeah.
And were you like noticing you were behaving in certain ways?
Yeah.
And then suddenly you thought, I need to.
I feel like it was something that probably started in childhood, like these things always do, wanting to please and make people proud of you and happy about your achievements.
Yeah.
I feel like it then went through school and wanting to be successful and fit in.
Yeah.
I feel like it then went massively into my career.
Yeah.
Because for reasons we've discussed earlier, this career is, you're alone. You're a lone wolf. It's brutal.
Yeah.
You don't want to show any weakness. You don't want to give people a reason not to pick you. You want to be liked. You're told to network. You're told to be popular. You're told to be confident and charismatic. You're told to, talk the talk. And, that those things make you more hireable sometimes or as hireable as your talent.
Yeah. Does that...
Sorry, just to finish that sentence. Then I just had this wake-up call where I was like, I hate doing that.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like me.
Yeah.
And no one actually knows who I really am. And I don't know who I really am.
Yeah.
I'm just being this professional
actor
version of Nadim who, no one really knows.
Yeah.
Or no one really talks to on a deeper level. And that was the beginning of like, and that was making me lead to just like be really detached from my life and like making bad choices and being unhealthy and drinking too much and like just not being able to like find the joy or embrace any kind of positivity in my day-to-day, and always being like, oh, it's just a phase, it'll pass. It's just because work's tough right now. It's just because money's tough right now. It's just because there's this or there's that. And there was always a reason to delay addressing it.
Yeah.
And so I guess the conclusion of what I'm trying to say is the connection between physical health and mental health to me is now crystal clear, which is that they're the same.
Yeah.
If your body needs to heal, it's the same as when you need to heal mentally. Or in an emotional way, or you need to go and see that doctor, go and talk to that person, go and figure out what's up with you. How do we make it better? And learn new skills. And I'd like to think that I'm still obviously on that journey. We're all on that journey, but I'd like to think that my ability to communicate and my ability to pay attention to my feelings in the last couple of years has been on a huge journey. And the injury was like proof of that, because I'm really proud of how I handled it. And like I feel like I managed to make myself feel in control of things rather than letting that darkness kind of run away with me.
Would the old version of you, when you had that injury, how do you think he would have dealt with what happened? If you know the answer.
I don't know the answer, but I feel like it would have been a lot more negative, a lot more self-pitying maybe, and maybe also a lot less proactive in recovery. A lot less like, right, how can I actually help myself here? Maybe I would have tried to do more of it myself as well. Maybe I would have spent less time and money on physios and help and taking advice from people who've been there before. And maybe I've spoken about it less. Maybe also I wouldn't have told the public that it happened. Maybe I would have been worried that it would have been perceived as weakness, and I would have just been like, oh, for personal reasons, I'm not in the show for the next few weeks. Full stop. Whereas what my instinct this time was to tell people what happened to me, how much it upset me, and what I was planning on do to get back planning on doing to get back.
Yeah.
So it was that thing of like accepting it, facing it, and then right now we've accepted it and faced it. What do we do next?
Yeah.
And that's what I try to do a little bit of every day now.
I feel like
I've not always been able to.
Yeah. I feel like the summary of all of that is that you've accepted that actually being open and vulnerable in any situation is the way forward.
Yeah.
Rather than putting up an act or a fence or a guard or
because anytime in the past where I did, as we said earlier, it's not even conscious. It's just like instinctive delaying of addressing a problem or avoiding a situation. The only outcome of that is chaos. Ultimately, it catches up with you and you make bad choices and things go wrong.
It spirals.
And then it's 10 times harder to sort out. It's 10 times harder to deal with. And I think one of the nicest things about growing and living is that you see evidence all the time that it's never too late to learn things. It's never too late to improve. It's never too late to better yourself. And I apply that now physically and mentally, whereas previously it would have maybe just been a physical thing. Eating better, more exercise, the things we hear about constantly. Whereas now it's about mental health and communication and being open and vulnerable, as you say. I think they're key.
And they do, the physical and mental are so linked in every single way. Like you said, they are one. When you're physically feeling a certain way, you're mentally feeling a certain way. When you're mentally feeling a certain way, you're often physically feeling, there's so much correlation in both of them. And I think the more that we can just accept that actually they are both the same thing. Health, like you said.
It's health, it's all health.
Everything would be so much better if you just truly understood that. Because it's so true. Two more things I want to talk about. We could talk for ages, but I'm aware of the time. But two more things I want to talk about. So I want to talk a bit more about your running because you have been on a big journey with that. And then I also want to talk about your projects that you're doing at the moment, because that's also really exciting. So let's just stick with the running for now because we're on theme. So you have run how many marathons?
5.
As you do. As you do. When was your first marathon? When did you first do that?
My first marathon was in, I'm going to say 2012, in the Olympic year.
Okay.
They're all London. Like, I'm just obsessed with London Marathon. 2012. Completely green, raw, like didn't know anything about it. All I had done up to that point I'd been a cross-country runner since I was at school. Like, I've always been like into running and good at running. Cross country, 5Ks and 10Ks. That's all I'd done. And then I was in Phantom for the first time. So I was like 26, something like that, 26, 27. And I was offered a charity place for the London Marathon. And I was like, oh, well, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do one. And, there was me then going, oh, I'm nearly 30, so I should probably do a marathon.
It'll be the only one I'll ever
do. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't train properly. I didn't train enough. And I finished in 4 hours, 36 minutes.
Which is still pretty fast for an average person, right?
Yeah. But the thing that makes it feel less like an achievement was that I actually ran the first 2/3 of it in really good time and then walked the last hour, basically. Because I hadn't trained enough. So my muscles just seized up, cramped, and didn't know enough about race nutrition. Didn't know enough about structuring my training effectively. So I just ran out of steam, or as we could say, hit the wall. And then, the years pass and I get kind of addicted to it. And it's not just the race itself, it's the process, the training process. So the thing for me with running is that, and I know how many people there are out there who say they hate running. I know you have this love-hate relationship with running because you'll do it in a high rocks, but you won't do it any other way. Running is the most simple of all the things you can do, right? And the fitness industry, in my opinion, hates on running. Because running doesn't require a personal trainer. It doesn't require a gym subscription. It doesn't require protein supplements in the same way that bodybuilding does. It doesn't require all the money. You can have in the boot of your car a pair of trainers, a pair of shorts and a top, and you can go running anytime, anywhere in the world. Alone.
And be the fittest you've ever been.
All this stuff you see every day about how running is not good for fat loss. I'm sorry, it is the biggest load imaginable. And people who try to say that you can burn more calories by walking than by running. Like, have you ever seen an overweight long distance runner in your life?
I know, it's ridiculous.
Ever.
It is
like,
ridiculous.
You look at anyone who runs 5K plus, any country, any age, any nationality, they are all lean as. Because it is simply physics that if you run for a long time, you burn thousands of calories, right? Of course, if you then eat more than you're burning, we know the science, right?
Yeah.
But this narrative that's spewed out on social media, putting people off running, is so bad.
Yeah.
Running is wonderful.
Yeah.
It gets you outdoors. It gets you alone with your thoughts. It gets you time to think about your life. It gets you time to listen to podcasts like yours. Obviously. It gives you time to connect with the outdoor world in a world where we're often behind screens or indoors or in gyms. And when you're running, you're not competing against anybody. When you're in the gym or when you're wherever, you're aware of who's around you. You're aware of what people are lifting, what you're lifting. Like, none of that matters in running. The only person you're competing against is yourself. And if you knock 20 seconds off your time after a couple of weeks of training, that feels like such a win. And I always say with running, like, the science doesn't fail you. If you do a proper training plan and you do actually do what they say, you will do nothing but soar and you will improve and you will get faster. And that dopamine rush that you'll get from it will be massive. And the number one mistake most people make, including myself in the past, is they run too fast. Like, if you run slow enough that you can have a conversation with someone who's running next to you, you can run for ages. You can run 5K, 8K, 10K.
Yeah.
Most people go out too fast. They blow up after 15 minutes. They think, I hate this. This is agony.
Yeah.
And they're right.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't be running that fast for your fitness level until you've done months and months and months of foundation work on the slow stuff.
That's where I struggled.
We all do.
With
everyone. We all do. Everyone does.
Yeah.
So, like, I started as a 4-hour 36 marathon runner. And 5 marathons later, I was at 3:23, 3 hours 23 minutes. And by that point, I know 4:36 to 3:23.
Wow.
So that is purely, that's not like, that's only me running 4 times a week. I'm still going to the gym twice a week to do weights. I'm still having a life. I'm still drinking. I'm still socializing.
4 times a week.
4 times a week.
Consistently. Like, all the time.
Yeah, like in the middle of it, there's a week off.
Yeah, but generally.
Right, I'm doing the marathon. It's a 14-week training plan. And I'm starting that from a position of being able to run 10K half marathon already.
Yeah.
But then 14 weeks of dedicated, don't miss a session, eat the good food, still have a drink, still have a life, still do what you want to do, but just do the nutrition and do the training. And you will knock so much time and you will look the best you've ever looked.
Yeah.
Like I've never been more lean than when I trained for my last marathon.
Yeah.
And I will always promote running, and I will always say to people, like, just give it a go, but do it properly.
Yeah.
Because this whole thing of going too fast is the reason it hurts.
Yeah.
It shouldn't hurt anyone.
Yeah.
And I swear to you, I'm there going down the Mall, 3 hours 20 on the 3 hours 23 on the watch. I'm about to get my marathon PB.
Yeah.
And then I'm like overtaken by like a 75-year-old.
Really?
Who's done like 50 marathons.
Yeah.
And he's all like hunched over.
Yeah.
So like people of that age can do it. Like anyone can do it.
I think the thing for me is as you know, years ago, I've done a couple of 10Ks. I did a couple of 5Ks for fun, for charity. There was no pressure. It was just whatever. There's been times where I've been in the gym where I've ran and I've enjoyed it. I've never not liked it as such. But the minute that the running was attached to High Rocks, it was a whole new pressure, which I didn't even realise until I was doing it and afterwards. And I said to Jordan, my PT, I was like, once I get over, give me a week or two after High Rocks, I'll get over this I hate running stuff, which I'm now over.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to actually I'm not going to go out running every day by any means, but I'm excited to just run and not have that pressure of looking at the time.
It not be attached to something else.
Not be attached to my pace. Not be like, I don't care about that. But when you're doing a High Rocks, even if you say you don't care about your time, in the back of your head, you do want to do it as quick as you can.
For sure. But you imagine how much easier your High Rocks will be next time if you have
if there's a next time.
If there's a next time.
Yeah.
If there was a next time, how much easier it would be if you had like a general running foundation underneath
100%.
you. So you weren't even conscious of the running parts. They were just like, I'm just doing it's like doing some burpees or doing some reps of a squat.
It was just part of it rather than the main show.
Thing. Yeah. And I think, that's the thing that I would say most people get wrong with running, is that they realize eventually how much better they could have been at it if they had done the like slow and steady thing.
Yeah.
And that's where the positives come from.
Yeah.
The, like my running idol / hero is Eliud Kipchoge, who's the guy who ran the 2-hour marathon for Ineos when he at the test event in Europe. And if he's training for a marathon, he is 80% of his training is easy running.
Yeah.
Now, obviously for him, easy running is like us sprinting.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like, it's minutes per mile slower than his race pace.
Yeah.
And, people put on a pair of trainers and go out and try and do a 20-minute 5K, having never run before or having not run for 10 years.
Yeah.
All they're going to do is have a screaming, painful chest, lungs blowing up, wanting to vomit, and they're going to be like, how does anyone enjoy this? Well, of course no one enjoys that, but you shouldn't be doing that. You should be go and do a 5K in 40 minutes first, and then say, right, now I'm going to give myself a year to get it down to 20. It's gradual gains, but the gains are so obvious if you do it right. And if you enjoy that process of 80% slow, 20% 20% is where you do your interval training and maybe your long run once a week if you're training for something. But 80% of it should just be long, easy. I can talk. We could be doing this podcast whilst jogging.
Yeah.
And then we're going slow enough.
Yeah.
And that's what's building your running base and your aerobic fitness. And that's when you're outdoors and you're listening to your new album and you're reflecting on your life.
I really want to enjoy it.
And even
because the thought of it is great.
Even on a treadmill, I would throw 1 or 2 treadmills in a week, especially in the winter. Also, it's slightly kinder on your knees and ankles.
It is easier, isn't it, on the treadmill?
But it is so much more boring.
Yeah, it is.
And it's really bad because you want to watch something on a screen and you end up running like that, which is bad for your neck and shoulders.
Yeah.
But, mixing it up is good, and the variety of it makes it more appealing. But nothing beats outdoor running. Like, it's just...
So what are you going to do then? Because I know you had planned to do another marathon.
40th birthday marathon.
Yeah. So that's not happening.
Yeah, that's not happening. No.
Have you got any other goals, marathon related, running related, fitness related?
I feel like I can't commit to a marathon distance until my Achilles is better healed.
Okay.
And I know that I'd be able to do it.
Yeah.
But there are millions of people who've run marathons after Achilles injuries.
Yeah.
Like, it's not...
You can definitely, a thing. Yeah, you'll be able to do it.
But do I want to do it if it's going to take me half an hour longer to finish than it did last time? Or do I want to do it if I can get a personal best? That's the question I've got to ask myself.
Yeah.
And I'm going to wait and see on that. But I like the idea of still doing the I'm 40 marathon and proving to myself that I can do it. But
even
it might
if it's
it might take a bit longer to get back to that distance. I have to approach, I said earlier about having to relearn to walk.
Yeah.
I'm now going to have to relearn to run.
Yeah.
So like what that looks like for me now is running for 30 seconds on the treadmill and then walking for 4 minutes and then running for 30 seconds and doing that.
Yeah.
And then every week just adding a little bit more. It's like extreme couch to 5K.
Yeah, that's really extreme.
I'm going to have to do couch to 5K, but with even tinier increments.
But I think that would be such an experience. You'd have to totally separate the emotional attachment to what you've previously done and treat it as like a brand
its
new...
own challenge, its own new thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
you should do it.
I think that if I'm realistic about the build-up time to it as well, maybe make it like an 18-monther rather than I'm going to do it this year. Get myself to 5K, get myself to 5K, get myself to 10K, then try a half marathon. And if that goes okay, then enter a marathon.
Okay.
Knowing that I've got the half marathon fitness, but then I can,
Well, everyone here is going to hold you accountable to your next marathon.
Yeah. We'll see. I like the idea of it.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, and just to round up, I know you've got some exciting projects going on, taking it back to the career side of things. What's going on? Tell people what's in the pipeline. Where are you next touring? What are you writing? What are you doing?
So Phantom tour runs until October.
Yeah.
We've got we're going to Bucharest in a couple of weeks in Romania. Then we're going to Ljubljana. Then we're going to Lausanne in Switzerland as well.
Nice.
And then finishing off in Lisbon.
Okay.
Fortnight in Lisbon in October.
Yeah.
So that's keeping me busy until October. I've got a couple of concerts squeezed in there in the middle of the gaps. Like in August, there's a gap with Phantom, so I'm going to Sweden to do a concert.
Yeah.
A musical theatre concert in Malmo. But aside from that, all the other projects are kind of like writing projects or like work from home type projects at the moment. So some people might know that I've written 2 musicals with Dana Al-Fardan, Broken Wings and Rumi. We are in talks at the moment to get a production of Rumi on stage next year. TBC.
Nice.
Watch this space.
In London?
No, in Dubai.
Okay.
Should be nice.
Very nice.
Yeah. I can't like say, I'm not going to say when or whatever because like it's not signed and sealed, but like that's what we're working towards.
Okay.
So fingers crossed that comes through.
Yeah.
And Donna and I are also writing a new show.
Okay.
We're in the middle of writing a new show. We're collaborating with a brilliant British Palestinian novelist whose name is Salma Dabakh. And she's writing a script for us, and we're writing a score. I'm not going to say what it's about yet. But it has a connection to Lebanon.
Okay.
And it has a connection to Africa.
Okay.
North Africa. And it's a story that has been told many times in European fashion.
Yeah.
Like there's been operas of it, and it's kind of in Greek mythology and stuff.
Okay.
But they've Europeaned it a bit, and
Yeah.
we're trying to reclaim it as a Middle Eastern, North African thing because the main character in question was Phoenician, which is of course what is now Lebanon.
Yeah.
And she ended up in North Africa.
Okay.
So I'm sure some astute people will be able to
yeah.
figure out who it is
What
based
that
on
is.
that. But
Yeah.
that's something that will be announced, I think, at some point later this year.
Okay.
We're like about halfway to 2/3 through the writing of it.
Well, that's exciting. And we've not even touched, we spoke all about Lebanon. You did just mention Broken Wings, but that's a massive connection with your Lebanese heritage.
Yeah.
How did that come around, Broken Wings? Were you approached?
No. It was really organic. Like what happened was I was playing Raoul in Phantom.
Yeah.
And I'd been there for a year at this point, and I had been writing songs for years. Like I'd written my own songs for albums, and I'd written songs for theatre for kids shows. And people were always saying to me like, oh, when are you going to write a musical? And I knew I wanted to write a musical, but I didn't know what about.
Yeah.
And I had just signed my contract to stay on at Phantom for another year. So I thought to myself, this is a perfect time because I have my job security. I have my 8 shows a week, but I've got my daytimes free. I need to use this opportunity of stability to like be creative and try something else. And the one thing I knew was that I wanted to write something that was about a topic no one had done before.
Yeah.
Like there's hundreds of musicals set in New York, in France, in London, you know.
Yeah.
It's been done. And if you want to write a show about one of those places, there's probably like a queue of 200 other shows all trying to get seen. So I was, of course, aware that no one had ever really portrayed the Middle East on stage in a musical in an authentic way.
Yeah.
You know, Disney's Aladdin doesn't count.
Yeah.
It's an Americanized, fictitious, made-up place called Agrabah.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, it's Disney. It's wonderful and it's great, but it's not authentic.
Yeah.
I then met Dana because she was in London doing a concert.
Yeah.
Just at Cadogan Hall, just doing a separate event. And some mutual friends were like, you two should meet because you both talk about wanting to write musicals about the Middle East. So we went for coffee. She came to see Phantom with her daughter. We went for coffee and we talked. And like 2 hours later, we decided we were going to try and write a musical about Khalil Gibran.
Yeah.
And for people who don't know who he is, he's like the Shakespeare of the Middle East. He's
Yeah.
the third best-selling poet of all time. And he's got a really powerful life story because he was an Arab immigrant who moved to America as a child, and became the best-selling poet from that region ever. And we settled on him, and we were looking through all his works, all his books, and we came to Broken Wings, which was his first book, and it reads like a diary, and it just had all the right ingredients. It's a love story. It's tragic. It's about the similarities of the past and present in society and the treatment of women and equality and the problems of organized religion in a society where there's multiple religions. Like it just ticks so many boxes that were relevant then and relevant now. And it was an opportunity to write a show for Lebanon. And we performed it there. Under the stars in an outdoor palace. Like, it was just magical. Absolutely magical. And that was the first time my career and my heritage really combined. And it's probably the proudest I've ever felt in a work sense. And that was, interestingly, coinciding with just the tough times we were talking about earlier, and how mental health journey. Broken Wings helped me like kind of recognize my unhappiness and that I wanted to do something about it. It coincided with a period of my life. Like, I felt things doing that job that made me question who I was and what I wanted going forward. In a way that no other job has. And I'm convinced it's something to do with the like magic of it being my blood and my heritage tied up with something that I made.
I'm sure.
Like, that's a very rare combination. So yeah, and that's special time.
If you're being a bit woo-woo like I am, that's the universe literally putting you in a situation where you have no choice but to accept those thoughts.
And recognize them. Listen and pay attention to them.
You have no choice because you're in it.
So yeah, it was spiritual, I guess. Like, it was a kind of a real like enlightenment moment. And it has led to, we wrote another show. We've done these shows in Lebanon, in Dubai, in Qatar, and I've now played the Phantom in some of those countries as well. Like, so like it's opened this really nice chapter of life where the work I've learnt and done in the UK has then taken me closer to my homeland and that region of the world where Dad's from. And that's a really nice journey, I think, and I hope there's more of it to come.
I'm sure there will be.
Yeah.
Exciting. Was there anything else you'd like to share?
I don't think so.
No?
I think we've done quite well.
We've done really well. We think we've covered everything.
It's gone quickly.
Yeah. For us it has.
Hopefully
for the listeners it has to.
Sorry, everyone.
Sorry, Carl.
No, thanks for having me and for encouraging open chat with your good questions.
Yeah, love it. You're welcome. Where can people find you on social media?
So I'm on Instagram and TikTok. Nadim.Naaman.
You like a bit of TikTok?
Yeah, I do, but like, I'm not very good at it. I just put videos of me performing. Like, I don't do, like some people like talk. Like, you're very good at it. Like, do TikTok where you're like talking about something.
Yeah, sometimes.
I get too shy about that.
Yeah.
I just be like, oh, here's a clip of me singing in a concert, or here's a clip of me from rehearsal at Phantom, and I just upload those.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, I try really hard to keep my social media work focused.
Yeah.
I used to have all of the social medias and was very open. But then I had like some issues with that. I got hacked a couple of times. I lost money and Instagram didn't help me get back into my old accounts. And I just made a decision to, like, from that moment on, do work only on social media. I mean, I try and keep it fun as well when I can. But, to have like a bit of a work-life balance with social media, because it used to be quite all-consuming. And I was clearly giving up so much of my personal life on there that people could get the answers to my banking passwords and stuff from pictures. Like, it makes total sense when you see it. But anyway, Instagram and TikTok, and all things to do with my career will be shared and updated on those.
Yeah.
Can
you spell out your name, because I can guarantee people might not get it?
NADIM.NAAMAN.
There we go.
Yeah.
We're not Naaman, we're not Neiman, we're
Yeah.
not Newman, we're not Naaman, we are Naaman.
Yeah.
But that's how you spell it.
Yeah. I mean, if you remember that we're Lebanese, it makes
Yeah.
sense because in Arabic, both the A's are pronounced. It's Naaman.
Yeah, it is actually how it's meant to be said.
But when Brits try and say that, like my friend Max from university, he was Brummie.
Yeah.
He was like Naaman, like Jack Grealish. He sounded like Jack Grealish.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds Brummy when you do it in a British accent.
Yeah. Well, that's where people can find you on socials.
Yeah.
I think we should ask the listeners, what do they want to see from you on social media? Because this is something you've toyed with on TikTok, where you're like, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? Yeah. And you never quite know which route to go down. So let's ask them and we can find out.
Yeah, people want to give me pointers.
Yeah.
Give this 40-year-old some social media
give him
pointers.
some tips and he'll do some videos.
Yeah, we'll try.
Amazing. Well, thank you for coming on. That was a glorious chat.
Thank you for having me.
And you're welcome. And thank you guys for listening, for watching. Please make sure you like, subscribe and share. And I will see you guys soon. Thanks.